So we're building these incredible AI systems, right? They're more powerful than anything we've ever seen. But here's the crazy thing. The more powerful they get, the more spectacular their failures can be. It feels like we're just scaling up their power without really teaching them their own limits. So how do we build AI that actually knows when to pump the brakes? Let's get into it.
And that's really the big question we're digging into here. You see it in the news all the time, right? These systems that are absolutely brilliant at one thing suddenly become dangerously unpredictable when you put them in a slightly different situation. So what's the common thread? What's really going on under the hood?
Okay, let's look at a real-world example. Remember the 2010 flash crash? You had these high-speed trading algorithms that were designed to do one thing, make money fast. But then the market conditions changed just a little bit, pushing them outside of what they were tested for. And the systems, having zero awareness of this new context, just kept on doing what they were programmed to do, and they spiraled into a massive trillion-dollar market meltdown.
Or, and this one's a tough one, think about that tragic Uber self-driving car incident. The system's computer vision couldn't cleanly classify what it was seeing, a person walking a bike across the street. And instead of defaulting to the safest possible action, like, stopping, it just kept cycling through possibilities. Is it a bike? Is it a person? Until it was way too late. It's a textbook case of a system completely breaking down when faced with something it didn't expect.
See, these aren't just one-off bugs, right? They're not just random glitches. They're actually symptoms of a much bigger problem. A flaw in how we're designing these things in the first place. The real issue is a total lack of what you could call boundary awareness. These systems literally don't know what they don't know, and they charge ahead with this false confidence, even when they're way out of their depth.
Now, to figure out the solution, it's actually super helpful to look at, well, us, humans. Back in the 50s, a guy named Herbert Simon came up with this idea called bounded rationality. He pointed out that we humans don't have supercomputers in our heads or all the information in the world, so we don't find the perfect, optimal solution, we find one that's good enough. The key thing to notice here is that this is descriptive. It's just a description of how we already work.
And this right here, this is the light bulb moment of this whole idea. We need to make a crucial shift. We need to go from Simon's descriptive model for humans to a prescriptive one for AI. In other words, we stop just acknowledging that limits exist, and we start deliberately designing those limits into our AI systems from the very beginning. The boundary is no longer a bug to be fixed, it's a feature to be celebrated.
So, what is this new approach? Well, it's called the Principle of Bounded Reality, or PBR for short. And it's not just some vague idea, it's a whole design framework. It's basically a prescription for building AI that is fundamentally aware of its own operational limits, which makes it way safer and a heck of a lot more reliable.
So this whole framework is built on 7 key ideas, or postulates. Think of them as the 7 rules for building safer AI. Together, they cover everything from how an AI perceives the world to how it makes decisions. We're not going to go through all 7, but let's dive into a few of the most important ones to really see how this works.
Let's kick things off with the absolute foundation. Postulate 1. Bounded existence. This says that every AI needs to have a clearly defined operating domain, a concept in biology called an umwelt. Think about a tick. A tick's entire universe is just 3 things: the smell of an animal, its warmth, and the feel of its fare. Inside that world, it's an expert. Outside that world, it's completely lost. We need to build our AI to know its own tick world, and, this is the important part, to know when it has stepped outside of it.
So what's the big takeaway here? It's that an AI that can say, I don't know, or, hey, this is outside my lane, isn't weak. It's actually one of the most powerful safety features you can build. It's the perfect antidote to that dangerous false confidence that leads to so many of these disasters.
All right, let's jump ahead to postulate 4, bounded reasoning. Now this one's really interesting because it pushes back on this obsession we have with perfect, absolute precision all the time. Just think about the thermostat in your house. If it tried to maintain the temperature at exactly 72.0000 degrees, it would be clicking on and off constantly, wearing itself out. A good thermostat works within a range. It keeps things good enough. It's a perfect example of how stability is often way more important than fragile precision.
Okay, this next one is absolutely critical. Who's in charge? Postulate 5 is all about bounded decision authority. And the idea is super simple but incredibly powerful. An AI's power to make a decision should be directly tied to the consequences of that decision. The higher the stakes, the more permanent the outcome, the less independent authority the machine should have. Simple as that. And you can really break this down into different levels, right? For low stakes, totally reversible stuff like sorting your email, sure, let the AI be fully automated. For something with moderate stakes, like suggesting a medical diagnosis, you want a human in the loop to check its work. But for really high stakes things, like controlling critical infrastructure, the AI's job is just to analyze. The human is firmly over the loop, making the final call. And some things, well, some things should always be human only.
So when you put all these pieces together, knowing your limits, choosing stability over perfection, carefully handing out authority, it all points to one big idea, one ultimate goal. And it represents a massive shift away from how we usually judge AI performance. It's about achieving coherence with reality, not just optimizing a single number to infinity.
This is a fantastic quote from an economist named Charles Goodhart that just nails the problem here. When a measure becomes a target, it ceases to be a good measure. Think about it. If you tell an AI to maximize engagement on a social platform, it might figure out that the best way to do that is to show people outrageous, polarizing content. You hit the target, but you completely broke the spirit of what you wanted to achieve. The measure itself became the problem.
So, how do we get out of this trap? Well, the PBR framework says we have to completely change the way we keep score. Instead of grading an AI on one simple, easy-to-cheat number like accuracy, we need to evaluate it against a whole coherence profile. It gives us a much richer, more honest picture of how that system is actually behaving in the real world.
So instead of just asking, how accurate is it? This new scorecard makes us ask much better questions like, is this thing's behavior stable and predictable? Is it actually aware of its own boundaries? When it says it's 99% confident, can we trust that? Is it safe? Is it actually useful? And maybe most importantly, when it does run into something it doesn't understand, does it fall off a cliff or does it fail gracefully? This is what a real report card for a safe AI should look like.
Okay, so we've been through a lot here, from market crashes and Herbert Simon to these new coherence profiles. So what's the big takeaway? What's the one thing you should remember from all of this?
The real goal here is a huge shift in how we think. For so long, we've been obsessed with building smarter AI, more powerful AI. But maybe we should have been focused on building wiser AI. The principle of bounded reality is all about making progress by building systems that have a deep, fundamental understanding of their own limits.
And that leaves us with one final and I think really important question for all of us. As we build the future of AI, what are we going to aim for? Raw, unchecked computational power, just chasing the highest score? Or are we going to build AI that's designed from the ground up to be in sync, to be in coherence with the messy, complicated, and beautiful reality that we all have to share?